Hi everyone, Cricket Star Boy Tyrelle Audain back with another YouTube video. I hope you guys are all well and in very good health. Trinbago Knight Riders aka TKR. I thought you guys were going to disappoint us, the fans, once again last night, or should I say Sunday night, unlike Saturday. But the difference here, after all that mess all they created Saturday, within more than 24 hours, you guys have turned it around drastically. And I must say, for all of the Night Riders gladiators out there, whether you're a supporter of Abu Dhabi, Los Angeles, Trinbago, or Kolkata, TKR have registered their first full points on the board after playing 3 matches in the Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League. They tonight defeated, or should I say a few hours ago, defeated the St. Kitts and Patriots, the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots by 6 wickets, and furthermore, they have a better net run rate than the Barbados Royals, and we will get to that in a little bit. But the Patriots, who are having a very sorry campaign at the moment, they were sent into bat by TKR, and a lot of bizarre things happened for the first time in the history of CPL in that game. The Patriots posted 178 for 5 after losing the toss, and they were sent in by Kieran Pollard's men. And though at one point they were getting nowhere near 160 runs on the board, however, for the first time in cricket history, and I'm gonna say to all my friends, for the very first time since Glenn McGrath back in 2005, where Billy Bowden gave down that red card to him in that first ever T20 game, a cricketer was sent off, and I'm talking about Sunil Narine. He became the first cricketer in the history of the gentlemen's game to be sent off. And the reason why the Night Riders decided to take him off the field for that last over was because of the slow over rate. And according to the new rules set out by the CPL, listen to this: if behind the required over rate at the start of the 18th over, one additional fielder must enter the inner circle. That means 4 fielders will be outside the circle when you are behind the required over rate. That means 5 fielders must be inside the circle. Come 19th over, if you're still behind the rate at the start of the second to last over, 2 additional fielders must enter the fielding circle for a total of 6 fielders inside the circle. That means 3 fielders outside of the inner ring. And if behind the rate at the start of the final over, that's the 20th over, teams will lose a player from the field, or should I say the player will be sent off, selected by the captain must select who should be sent off, and that means only 2 fielders will be allowed outside the circle for the last over, and 6 fielders shall remain inside the inner ring. And that means there will be an onus on, and there's another rule that CPL put out this year. There will also be an onus on batting teams to keep the game moving thick and fast. After a first and final warning from the umpires, the batting team will be slapped with 5 penalty runs for each instance of time wasting. Now this year CPL has cracked down seriously on time wasting, and I must say, not only the CPL did the right thing, but to speed up the game as well. And I would like to see other franchise leagues, and soon enough the ICC take serious action with regards to overrates and also putting out red cards as well. And furthermore, I would like for the cricketing authorities to reinstate a rule that was so popular back in the 90s to the early 2000s, and that's when the team when the fielding team is behind the required over rate, penalize them overs or duck them overs. Like, for example, there was a time where teams were used to be ducked, or should I say, there was a time where teams was ducked overs because of the slow over rate. We have seen that in the past, in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I find that rule shouldn't have been scrapped. It should have been kept in place, and that would teach captains to speed up the game and move thick and fast. But nevertheless, in pursuit of 179 for their first victory in this year's CPL, and I gotta admit this, within the last 2 seasons, TKR have only made 150 once, and that was last year against Amazon Warriors and won. But this time around, they got to its target, even though they lost both Martin Guptill and Chadwick Walton very early on in the chase. But it was Nicholas Pooran who produced that sensational 61 that guided TKR to their first win of this campaign. And furthermore, he was well supported as well by newcomer Irish wicketkeeper batter Lucan Tucker, who not only played very maturely, but also in his first innings played the anchor role. And we all remember how Colin Munro used to play the anchor role when he was with TKR, and was one that would pick up the pace when needed. Lucan Tucker, he did something similar that Colin Munro used to do, and that was playing the anchor role. And coincidentally, he's a temporary replacement for Riley Risso, who is no longer available for the tournament, but Tucker will be replaced by the time of the Trinidad leg. Tucker will be replaced by big hitting Australian Tim David. Now, if I was the Knight Riders organizers, I would keep him there and send Martin Guptill back to New Zealand, because Guptill has been an absolute failure. And you know who Guptill is reminding me of? Even though he has all that experience in T20s, he's the weakest TKR player I've seen since the Akmal brothers, Kamran Akmal and Umar Akmal of Pakistan, and they were the worst. The only time they would perform is in knockout games. We've seen that with Kamran in the 2015 CPL final in Queen's Park Oval, and we've seen that with Umar Akmal in the knockout game against St. Lucia Zouks in 2016. Those were the times where the Akmals would only perform. However, on this occasion, Tucker played according to the situation and played more maturely, unlike those who were attempting big shots in the last game against the Kings, which led to our demise. But nevertheless, not only Tucker had Pooran around him, but also had Pollard as well. And speaking of Pollard, where the game was won for TKR was when the captain struck 4 consecutive sixes in the 15th over, and coincidentally, all 4 of those sixes hit of Afghanistan wrist spinner Naveed were over 100 plus meters. But nevertheless, Pollard played a useful hand, as what he would normally do in those situations. And with that victory, Trinbago Knight Riders move into 4th position and have gotten its campaign underway with 3 points from 3 matches. That's 1 no result, 1 defeat and 1 victory, and have a better net run rate than the Barbados Royals, who have the same number of points but are second to last on the table. And furthermore, the next leg of CPL moves to Barbados Wednesday, and also that at the time where the men's CPL moves to the Barbados leg, the women's CPL is expected to start, and we will talk about more of that in a subsequent video. But coming back to the guys, the top 3 that are the teams that are in that top 3 position right now are Guyana Amazon Warriors, Jamaica Tallawahs and St. Lucia Kings. And one more thing as I wrap up this video, and this is my last set of analysts for the night. This is the way that Trinbago Knight Riders should play. I saw the game and I have to say this is the way that they should play every game. Rather than going for big shots and getting out very quickly, this is the way they should play. And a very good friend / colleague of mine told me after Saturday's game via WhatsApp to have faith and they'll win the next game, and she proved me quite right. But one of the problems that TKR still has is that opening combination. Once Mark Dial comes back, who is he going to replace? Because Tucker has played well. It's going to be a toss-up between Guptill and Walton to see who goes out. And furthermore, it's going to get more complicated for the Knight Riders, who they should bring in, who they should leave out when Tim David comes. And furthermore, talking about one of their replacements, Tom Curran, who scored that half century for Oval Invincibles in the 100 final against Manchester Originals, he's expected to join the team for the Barbados leg and for the rest of the tournament onwards as a replacement for one of the fast bowlers. I think it's Patirana, who has been ruled out, as what I mentioned in the past. And by the time the Trinidad leg begins next week, Tuesday, which coincidentally is the first day of the new school year for all of those who are heading back out to school, Tim David is expected to arrive in time for the Trinidad leg and will replace Tucker for the rest of the CPL campaign. Tim David, by the way, on Friday was reported by TKR and CPL that he will replace Tucker once he arrives, and he will be the permanent replacement for Riley Russo, who's no longer available due to some type of injury he sustained. But nevertheless, I'm glad that TKR is on the board and in the top 4. Hopefully, the Knight Riders can play consistently now. The next game they are playing is Wednesday, the 30th of June, the night before Independence Day in Trinidad and Tobago. They are playing the Barbados Royals at the Kensington Oval. Let's go TKR. Hope you guys can beat them on home soil, and thank you guys for watching this video. Stay safe, my friends.